Welcome back to 504 Road Trips. Today we cover the last 19 miles of the Blue Ridge Parkway, mile 450 through mile 469. This is our 31st and final video of this series. On the left is a view of Yellowface. The vista at this overlook is quite interesting. Here you can see the right side of a valley but not the left side, for it's blocked by a hill that is very close to the viewing area. In the background are other large mountains. From this point on until reaching the southern end of the Blue Ridge Parkway near Cherokee, North Carolina, the mountains you see are part of the Great Smoky Mountains. On the right at mile 451.2 is the Waterrock Knob Visitor Center, an ideal spot for watching sunrises and sunsets across the rugged mountains. Waterrock Knob Visitor Center sits at almost 6,000 feet elevation and contains restrooms, exhibits, and books for sale. Just outside lies a spring that flows over the Waterrock where hunters and farmers gathered to rest. Nearby is the trail to the summit of Waterrock Knob, where a wonderful panoramic view of the surrounding area awaits. Waterrock Knob is the highest peak in the Plott Balsams at 6,292 feet and is the 16th highest mountain in the eastern United States and the 15th highest of the 40 mountains in North Carolina over 6,000 feet. Waterrock Knob has the Parkway's highest visitor center. The small visitor center introduces visitors to the area's rugged terrain and tremendous scenic resources, including the Great Smoky Mountains that are visible from here. Stories of the black bear and high elevation forests are told as well. The eastern band of the Cherokee Indians makes this section of North Carolina their home. The center is open seasonally. On the left at mile 452.1 is a view of Cranberry Ridge. The mountain cranberry is not like commercially grown cranberry plants. This plant is a shrub rather than the vine-like commercial plant grown in bogs. In late summer, the ripened berries attract large numbers of native birds. At mile 452.3 is the Woolyback Overlook. A blanket of rhododendron and mountain laurel shrubs cover the low ridge to the right, creating a woolly look. At mile 453.4 is a view of Hornbuckle Valley. The valley and creek were named after James Hornbuckle, a Cherokee Indian who formed the area. Hornbuckle served in the Union Army during the Civil War. The Cherokees were divided in loyalty during the war. Some fought for the Union and some for the Confederacy. On the left at mile 454.4 is the Thunderstruck Ridge Overlook. These exceptional mountain ranges almost disappear into the clouds. The clouds provide a different perspective on all the beauty the parkway has to offer. The Thunderstruck Ridge lies below the overlook at an elevation of 4,680 feet. At mile 455.1 is the Fed Cove Overlook. A man named Fed had a cabin here and was able to live in peace in what was mostly Indian land at the time of the Civil War. At mile 456.2 on the left is the Soco Gap parking area. The gap was a strategic location for the Cherokees because it was the main route for entering their land in the 1700s from the north and the east. The Cherokees maintained an outpost here to protect from the Shawnees and Whites. On the right is the Jonathan Creek Overlook. A good place to camp, the creek here was named for early pioneer Jonathan McPeters. To the left at mile 457.9 is a view of the Plott Balsam. A sign here reads, "Before you lies the great massive Plott Balsam Range. On one of its eastern slopes, Henry Plott, a German immigrant's son, made his home in the early 1800s. In this game-filled frontier, hunting dogs were a prized possession. Here, Henry Plott and his descendants developed the famous Plott bear hounds, carefully selecting for the qualities of stamina, courage, and alertness the breed possesses today." At mile 458.8 is the Lickstone Ridge Tunnel. This is the 22nd tunnel on the parkway and is 402 feet or 123 meters in length. This is also the lowest tunnel in height on the parkway with only 13 feet and 1 inch or 4 meters of clearance. Immediately after the tunnel is the Lickstone Ridge Overlook. A lickstone was a smooth stone where settlers would spread salt for their livestock. Here we see the 23rd tunnel on the parkway, the Bunches Bald Tunnel, with a length of 268 feet or 82 meters. On the left is the Bunches Bald Overlook at mile 459.5. Bunches Bald was probably named after an early settler. On the left is the Jenkins Ridge Overlook. Another settler that was able to get along with the Cherokees was Jonas Jenkins, who lived on the far side of the large ridge visible to the left. From here on, we begin a great descent. Over the next 9 miles, the elevation will drop over 2,500 feet or 760 meters. At mile 461.2, we pass through the Big Witch Tunnel with a length of 348 feet or 106 meters. On the right at mile 461.9 is the Big Witch Overlook. The overlook was named for Cherokee medicine man Big Witch. He was the last Cherokee eagle killer, a man whose job was to obtain sacred eagle feathers for ceremonies. Of course, the best way to get eagle feathers is to kill the bird, a skill that Big Witch excelled at. He died in 1898 at the age of 90. Now, as we mentioned before, we're on a long descent. Note the Chevy Malibu in front of us that's constantly on the brakes for as long as it's in sight. This is not the way to drive in the mountains, as it will burn up the brakes. Not only can this cause damage by overheating and warping the brake rotors, but if they get hot enough, the hydraulic fluid in the brake lines can boil and form vapor bubbles, causing brake fade, meaning the brakes won't be as effective or may fail completely. On long downhill runs, shift to a lower gear and let your engine compression slow you down, and minimize brake usage as much as possible. On the right is the Thomas Divide Overlook. There's barely a view here, much of it is blocked by one giant tree. All that remains is bits and pieces of a view between trees and other vegetation. Now we'll see two tunnels in rapid succession. The first is the Rattlesnake Mountain Tunnel with a length of 410 feet or 125 meters. Then just over half a mile away is the Sherill Cove Tunnel, the 26th and final tunnel on the parkway. Sherill Cove Tunnel has a length of 572 feet or 174 meters. A note about the distinctive stone masonry on each of these tunnels. This is not part of the original construction of the 1930s and was added later. On the right at mile 467.4 is a view of Ball Hoot Scar. Motorists stop along this overlook to absorb all of the brilliant fall colors. The slashes down Ball Hoot Scar are remnants of the paths trees took on their way to the sawmill. The men would yell "Ball Hoot" as a warning before the trees tumbled down the mountain. At mile 467.9 is a view of Raven Fork. Raven Fork enters the Oconoluftee River a mile downstream. The riverbed was once used as a crossing known as Ravensford. On the right at mile 468.4 is the final pull-off on the parkway, or the first if you're headed north. This is the Oconoluftee River Overlook. A Cherokee village once stood a few miles downriver called Oconoluftee, meaning by the river. After time, the pronunciation morphed into its current name. We conclude today's video and the Blue Ridge Parkway Series at mile 469, where the Blue Ridge Parkway ends at US Highway 441 near the town of Cherokee, North Carolina. Thanks for watching. Coming soon, we'll have a condensed drive lapse version of the Blue Ridge Parkway where you can see the whole drive in an hour. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up, post a comment, subscribe, share and follow us on social media, and join us for our next 504 road trip.